Yeah, perfect. Awesome to be here. And thank you for coming. I hope no one here expects this to be a front-end talk about design or design systems or component libraries, because I'm here to talk about team design, like organizational structure. And when I talk about that, I mean really software team design. I work as a consultant for passionate people, and for the last 3 years, I've been working with Giraffe 360, building an awesome product. And have encountered this problem multiple times of reorganizing and charting up new teams, deciding their structure, their members. So yeah, that was definitely a big catalyst for me to try to figure out more about it in the industry. What's our prevailing wisdom? What has been the history? How we have arrived in the current state in software development, organizing our teams. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. So I hope you find it interesting as well. But let's start by picturing this. Times are awesome, you're building a great product, users love it, the investor sentiment is good, you're doubling, maybe even tripling your revenue each year. So money keeps pouring in, users want more and more features, so hiring, of course, goes on, you keep hiring more people, and it works out great, right? You just hire a person from job market, you drop them in and forget about it, and it works out. They find the right place, they become productive, knowledge transfer happens, all is awesome. Right? That usually happens at your companies as well. Right, unfortunately that is not the case. If it was, we could end the story here. So yeah, the grim reality is those situations hardly ever go smooth. Organization structure, team design is often difficult to get right, especially if the company life cycle changes, economic situation changes, strategy shifts for some reason, and headcount increase in itself adds another dynamic, like new-timers versus old-timers, culture issues, keeping everyone sort of going in the same direction, the mix between juniors, seniors, principal engineers, how many architects you need, QA, DevOps, SRE people, finding the right mix. Ensuring also career progression, keeping people happy, that's not easy, and the list is almost endless. Often it seems like a difficult multi-dimensional puzzle to solve, with large axes to optimize on, and that's because it is. It is difficult to get everything right. Keep the people happy, keep the employee turnover low, keep your efficiency high. Meanwhile, achieving your goals, building a great product, keep growing and not experiencing too much churn. And not only because investors believe in you and pour in the money, extend the runway, but actually the product is really good and generates that income. But yeah, as promised, I want to first start going a little bit through the history of humanity, of our society, and maybe find some interesting ideas there. And when I say history, I don't mean the, the alternative history channel type of history, where aliens maybe visited and helped build pyramids. But it does postulate interesting intellectual challenge to think about. If that alternative reality is real, or maybe alternative universe, or maybe somewhere out in this universe at this present time, different civilization. If there's a so advanced civilization with technology, they probably need software. So what kind of methodology do they use? Would they use Scrum? Would they use Kanban? Would they have platform teams? Would they have sub-teams? So it's kind of interesting mental tangent to go on sometimes to wonder about. But yeah, that's not for today's talk. It's more like a side note. So today I want to just go over the recorded history, how people have organized their work and worked together. Not dwelling on it too much, because we have to stick to the time. And obviously these are arbitrary divisions. If you're a real historian, you can look at it way differently, go deeper. But I try to look from perspective of how we arrived at modern ways of working, especially building software. So we start obviously with the ancient civilization. That's as far as our known record goes reliably, and obviously there's a big bucket for a lot of things that happen, starting from Indus Valley, China, Americas, and obviously you have Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, Rome, things we probably know much better, and how people lived. Of course, they built great stuff, and they had to work somehow together. The magnificent architecture they built. So what do we know? Yeah, obviously they did specialize in different roles, like laborers, soldiers, craftsmen, and teams often were large. Think about big armies. They stuck to autocracy and hierarchy, so divide and conquer. They did come up with a lot of innovative technical know-hows. How to, the geometry, how to draw a triangle with the right angle, right, the Pythagoras, or how to create awesome architecture. Also irrigation, crop rotation, great advances. But when it comes down to organizing that work, I didn't encounter any like specific methods or approaches, apart from just hierarchical divide and conquer, organize all the way down ways, which which obviously arose from militaries. If you're more into history, you know way more about that than me. Come have a chat with me afterwards. I would love to learn more. But that's how much I found about this period. Middle Ages, also a big period, but the people were actually more centered about manors and villages. Farmers or agriculture workers. They were actually working on diverse tasks, so they were sort of cross-functional in a way, performing multiple tasks, but also nothing too, let's say, novel emerged in terms of organizing work. Then comes the Renaissance. Finally we are recognizing that individual has value. Individual rights become more prevalent, so we're moving slightly away from feudal systems. But still, could be large teams in armies or exploration ships, and smaller specialized groups like artisan workshops. Now, the real pivotal point comes with the Industrial Revolution, when we started building factories and people started moving, well, not even slowly, but sometimes pretty fast, to the cities. And we actually started thinking about efficiency at scale. So we wanted to build a lot of things efficiently and fast. And this is that time when manager role actually becomes necessary and more prevalent. But still, a lot of hierarchy and thinking about scientific management, how to be effective. At this period, a lot of large companies emerged, like Standard Oil, Carnegie Steel Company, and of course, global trade and colonial empires. Still, a lot of hierarchy, but people start to slowly, not slowly, but still, we're working on making the work more effective. So, a lot of managerial theories started emerging. At the late 19th century and the beginning of last century, people finally started considering actually worker satisfaction, because until then, what was all about the machine, mechanism, efficiency. So people were like cogs in the wheel. Think, assembly line worker. That of course started already, that idea with Industrial Revolution and really made sure during the last century. But yeah, people finally started thinking a little bit about worker satisfaction. Not much, but first concerns were there. But still, what dominated was ideas about how to improve the efficiency through scientific management. And then we arrive at what we can call modern period, so the last century up to modern day. So you can also arbitrarily divide it in different groups, different eras. Still, at the beginning of last century, scientific management and bureaucracy ideas reign. Still, a lot of emphasis on hierarchy and efficiency. But in the mid-century, mid-last century, it's the time then when the human relations actually start to gain some traction, even though the ideas were a lot earlier ago. So people start thinking about leadership styles, leadership theories, more emphasis on team dynamics finally, and worker satisfaction is put more in the center, and thinking more about inclusive and participative work environments, obviously, because women start to join workforce en masse because of the invention of the pill. Then come the 70s, and I would say the first agile ideas start to appear this period. So people start to think about continuous improvement and organizational learning. They recognize that the world is changing faster than we can plan for, so you need to be a bit more adaptive. Of course, not everywhere. because I think this idea that the future doesn't come everywhere at once. Some parts of society live in the future further than the others. Same in every period. But already at this period, there was a trend towards a bit more flatter structures, cross-functional teams that are capable of some autonomy and more rapid decision making. So, less hierarchy. The 90s, the internet. Obviously, we had fax machine before for decades, but email, when it became widespread, that sped up so much communication, and obviously global trade just exploded, right, with all the shipping routes and trade, and of course, collapse of Soviet Union, the world became unipolar, and so much, a lot of things happened, right? So we started building software, and a lot of things that were on our desks started slowly moving in our screens, like calendar or notes gradually, but it started at this time. Beginning of this century, we started seeing widespread adoption of agile methodologies. Obviously, Agile Manifesto came out, mainly because software was in our lives and was there to stay. So we were dealing with building software and had to adapt to building it differently. Move away from waterfall approach. So iterative development, responding to change, and empowering teams. And companies realized that focusing on innovation was a key competitive advantage. And also we started seeing a rise of mega tech startups, which are the winners of market capitalization today. And more breaking down of silos, open offices, and got rid of cubicles. Then brings us to present day, when COVID facilitated so much change towards working from home, hybrid, distributed teams, digital collaboration tools. Somebody somewhere compared. Oh, that's a disturbing noise. Somebody compared COVID with boiling an egg. So once you boil an egg, it becomes solid, right? And afterwards you drop the temperature, it stays solid. Same thing with society. It made us boil, right? Made us transform very profoundly. And COVID is gone, the temperature is down, but the changes it brought in many ways stayed. But yeah, what we have now, a lot more emphasis on knowledge work, obviously big focus on digital skills, and we really have recognized that trust and psychological safety and employee satisfaction are really fundamental and major predictors of team productivity. So yeah, that's a run through the history. Yeah, thank you for staying with me with this sprint. Obviously, it's a very superficial run through the history. You can dive into each of these areas more profoundly, especially if you're a historian. But for the sake of this presentation, I think that will do. But yeah, so much has happened. Obviously, so much books have been written. So how do we conjure some essence out of it, some key learnings? So yeah, so many things have been said and written. Like team topologies, elegant puzzle, thinking in systems. Yeah, the list goes on and on. A lot of magnificent and great books, and these are just some that have been on my radar, and obviously haven't gotten to reading all of them. Yeah, one comes down to extracting some sort of solid advice, or what you call maxims, that are mostly true most of the time in most contexts, with some exceptions. I think there are some or several that have crystallized. And I think in contemporary consciousness they have already appeared as just norms, which is a great thing. But if they haven't, it's good to explicitly express them. But also don't forget that any virtue taken to extreme or too far can become a vice. So of course, be careful applying these. But yeah, here it goes. Of course, clear roles and responsibilities lead to efficiency. Why? Well, because there's less ambiguity, people can be more focused, and there's reduced chance to have conflict. But if you take it too far, obviously, you can have too much dependence on specific individuals. That can be, a bus factor, right? And it also can decrease learning opportunities. Communication key to success, obviously, because it builds trust, enhances collaboration, prevents misunderstanding and wasted effort. But if you bring it too far, well, there's over-communication, noise, and documenting, communicating can also be time-consuming. Leadership is very crucial for motivation and alignment because it inspires, provides direction. But if you rely on it too much, well, you can have people depending too much on the leaders and lack autonomy. I'm just going to keep going a bit faster through these, but clearly all of these have a lot of merits. But if you take them too far, they can have trouble. So small teams are more agile. Diverse teams foster innovation because you get more broader perspectives. You can solve problems, multiple viewpoints. You have less chance of, So diverse teams foster innovation because then you have less chance also for groupthink. But if you maximize it too much, well, you can encounter communication difficulties, a lot more complexity, and increase the chance of some conflicts. Trust is the foundation of teamwork. Shared goals do unify teams. Autonomy, increased engagement. Accountability ensures responsibility. Recognition fuels motivation. And obviously, adaptability is a must. Because our environment is changing so fast, and if you don't change along with it, you don't survive in it. It's highly competitive. But if you become too adaptable, you can encounter change fatigue, too much short-term focus, and dilute your core value and mission. But okay, let's get back to the original topic of team design and composition. So when you're faced with a problem to draw up your organizational chart, or when you're adding more people in your organization, how do you design teams? How do you specify how they are, what are they responsible for, what are the boundaries, how they interact? There probably are a gazillion of factors you might want to consider. The list is huge, maybe not endless, but so many things to balance out, because life is not simple. So how do you choose? Well, luckily, we have some great minds to the rescue. There's a really awesome book. I don't know how many of you have read it or seen. Maybe you can raise your hand if you read it. Oh, nice. We have like 10% of people, maybe more. That's nice. It's a really great book. Really great thought leaders, Matthew Skelton and Manuel Pais. What they see as a main factor to optimize for in designing your teams is cognitive load. It's predicated on the notion if the team has optimal cognitive load, so not too little, not too much, obviously, that they can focus on a specific problem to solve without distractions into irrelevant side things, then they will produce the best possible outcome. And it goes along with the notion that software needs to fit in our heads. So whatever you're responsible about needs to have clear boundaries that does fit in your head. Because if your system is too coupled, too big, that will slow down you so much, because people won't be trusting the changes. They won't be trusting the tests so much. They will want delay, want to deploy to another environment again. Your lead time for changes will suffer. Deployment frequency will suffer. DORA metrics, which also have been proved by research to be a big deal in organizational productivity. So yeah, if the software is too big for our heads, it works against your organizational agility and thus your business performance. But what is cognitive load? John Sweller defines it as the total amount of mental effort being used in the working memory. In our software development context, it can be broken down into three parts. So first you have intrinsic part, which is things you cannot get away without knowing, right? Things you just need to know to be a software engineer. How the library works, how do classes work in Python, JavaScript, what's the prototypal inheritance. Then you get extraneous cognitive load. Yeah, it's a fancy word for, I guess, more like something outside, irrelevant. Most of the time, it's something works against what we're trying to do. Something as an obstacle. How do I spin up this cluster again, or how do I request a security team to allow me install this software on my laptop? If you live in that sort of world, I'm sorry, but yeah, that happens. And then we get to germane, which is a fancy word for just saying relevant, pertaining to the subject matter. The actual problem your team is trying to solve, the user need, how to build an awesome service, how a great insurance service works, how a great food delivery works. And obviously, what you want to do is to maximize the time team can spend on the germane, so on the relevant part. There's nothing much you can do about the intrinsic, it's just there. Of course now with good ID tooling, AI assistance, that part also gets more improved and productivity raises. But you really want to remove the irrelevant, the middle one, externus load. So things the team just has like as a friction when they're trying to do something useful. So in the same book, what they define are 4 fundamental team types. And the most typical and prevalent one are stream aligned, what they call a stream. Stream is basically the value stream of your company, how your company provides value, what you're building, right? So let's say your team's building the checkout process or the whole catalog on the web store, something like that. That's most teams out there. We also use the word product teams often for that. And then come the other 3 teams. And the other 3 teams you can actually look as the purpose of existence is to reduce the cognitive load of that stream-aligned team, or of the product team. So they are there to help them to provide value faster to the end user, to the customer. What is the enabling team? Well, enabling team is somebody or some team that helps to overcome some obstacles, helps to detect some missing capabilities, is there to help to upskill the team, provide some guidance, is there to facilitate the work being done faster and better and more reliably. Then you have the complicated subsystem team. Yeah, it's a mouthful of words. Maybe it doesn't stick in the memory too well, but if you dwell in this theory, it really clicks. It's actually quite simple. Then there are only 4 team types. So yeah, this complicated subsystem team is sort of team which needs a really deep expert knowledge. Think even maybe some academic work. Nowadays it's often AI, machine learning team, or in some context it can be a team that works on a, let's say, encryption algorithm or a streaming algorithm, something that product teams shouldn't be focused on, right? There's too much distraction, too much cognitive load for them. And then you have a platform team at the bottom, which is a catch-all group for all sort of other teams which are there to provide useful, compelling internal products that will accelerate delivery of the product teams. So teams that build internal platform, how to deploy and run the applications in different environments. And if you have these 4 team types, then all you need is actually only 3 interaction modes. So there are 3 ways how these kind of teams interact. Because in reality, often teams, kind of have little clue how they should interact. It's also not often defined in the organization, so it becomes a bit of a chaos. But yeah, these authors define these 3 ways to interact. So number 1 is collaboration. So when you work together on something for a short or medium term, to discover new things, build a proof of concept, work on a certain API. Then there's X as a service. So one team consumes something, other team provides it. So like platform as a service or other things. And the third one is facilitation. So one, let's say that one enabling team helps and mentors another team to become more efficient and smarter and better. There's also Unfix. You can find it at unfix.com. Also very similar concept. A lot of similarity. Simply, it goes a bit more broader. It encompasses all your organization, not just engineering. So it looks at also the business management. It calls it governance. So things everything in terms of crews. It can stack up hierarchically, so we can have multiple offices as crews, and they're organized hierarchically. Yeah, that's another side topic you can jump into sometime. But staying on team design, another book I find super useful, and one of my favorites is Will Larson's Elegant Puzzle. Who have read it here? Oh, very few people. Oh, I really recommend you guys to get it if you're dealing with some engineering management. This is an awesome book. It's basically manual for engineers. It deals with so many different aspects on a tactical level. How do you approach this or that problem, and also many strategic things. But when it comes down to team design, he has several advices to share. One of which is small teams with less than 4 people are not really teams. They're work like a leaky abstraction. Like you have to know too much of their internals to deal with them. You have to know when people go on vacation, maybe sick leave, on-call rotation, that sort of thing. So if you have power to decide how many people should go in a team, it should be 4 and more. Not a big mistake he advises to avoid is to create 2 different tiers of teams. So one kind of team that gets to work on a sexy, new, innovative stuff, build new things, and another type of team gets to maintain a legacy system and work on maintenance. So yeah, don't do that. Try to allow one team to handle both, because otherwise you demotivate people and you miss out on learning opportunities, and creates this 2-tier system, and it's not great for the culture. Then there's some numbers that I think industry has agreed upon. I've heard it from multiple sources, also different podcasts, and also been echoed in this book. So that managers, so the sweet spot for managers support 6 to 8 engineers. If it's too many, then it's more like a coach, not real like engineering manager. And managers should support roughly 4 to 6. Those are the numbers. I guess you have to take as given, but because a lot of industry leaders find the sweet spot to be somewhere there. What is more, sort of sweet team size is roughly 6 to 8. Can be a little bit more, but this is the nice range. If you ever want to create a new team, it's best to grow an existing team to a larger number, let's say 10 people, and then split it in half. That way you get the nice mix of juniors and seniors and people who have been around and know how things work. So you should definitely avoid creating empty shell teams, like hiring new people and stuffing them a new team and saying off you go and you go build this. That usually is a recipe for disaster, because they lack so much context and they are detached from the history and the culture of the company. And another advice he gives is to never leave managers supporting more than 8 individuals. So that burns out them, and they then can work only as a coach. Also, he in the book and also in his blog, which is letgein.com, a lot of free articles there which mirror what's written in the book. Great resource to check out. He reasons about different stages in the team's life cycle. So team is falling behind if the backlog is too big and grows and end users are unsatisfied. Treading water if they're just able to get critical work done. Repaying debt if they're starting to get that snowball rolling. And innovating when their technical debt is low and they get to mostly work on new features. And then he prescribes a recipe for each of these stages. So obviously when falling behind, you want people to be added to the team, inject some optimism. But I do need to speed up. I've taken, I guess, too much time. I'm sorry. So when treading water, reduce the work in progress. When in depth, give them time, but also have them work on new features. And if team is innovating, give them slack, enough time to build things with quality, but avoid branding them as a team that does science projects, because that will get them defunded really fast. But yeah, that's then I just want to mention there's also an article about hypergrowth, something I didn't want to touch today, but just mention. I do need to wrap up, so some final thoughts from my side is that, do add only members in your company when it starts to hurt. Then you really know what problem they are there to solve. And if you grow faster than you need, going to lead to an efficiency and undefined roles. So I think what you have also seen in industry with major layoffs, because people grew their organizations too much. And if you need advice, look at the team topologies, 4 team types, 3 interaction modes. These 2 books are any engineering leader's great toolkit. It won't ensure that you're successful, but definitely will help you not to make a lot of mistakes. And trust the advice of what we discovered culturally more often than you don't. And we've gone a long way as a society. What's next? Probably a lot of AI. So yeah, thank you guys for staying with me. I'm Harijs, I work with passionate people, and I've been working also with Giraffe 360, building awesome product for the last 3 years. If you found this interesting, please catch me afterwards. I would love to have a chat with you. So thank you very much.